Long time no see. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rose, or more widely known on trail as Kodak. And in 2023, I set out to thru hike the Pacific Crest Trail. And I'm here to tell you all the reasons why I quit early. I've been home for about 2 weeks now and off trail for about a month. And this is the first time I feel ready to sit down and talk about everything that went wrong and led to my decision to come off trail at 1,800 miles, not completing the 2,655 miles it takes to become a thru hiker. So this is probably going to be a long video, and I apologize in advance if I'm rambling, but it is what it is. This is unscripted. We'll take it back to the beginning, and about 5 days into my hike, I realized that I was in the wrong shoes. I started my thru hike in Ultra Lone Peaks, thinking like a lot of people that just because I had day hiked in them, they were going to transfer over to thru hiking, and that was not the case. I really messed up my Achilles very early on, and I remember specifically it was 5 days in because my ankles were hurting as I was coming into Scissors Crossing right before Julian. And on top of having destroyed Achilles, I ended up rolling my ankle so bad that it ended up being a minor sprain. And I have never sprained my ankle before. Huge shout out to Morgan, or better known as Blaze Physio, out on trail. I was able to see her in Julian, and she was able to diagnose me with a sprain. She actually luckily had a pair of Topos Ultra Adventure 3s, which are the shoes I eventually switched to after meeting with her, that I was able to buy off of her. She said that I needed to do some stretches, just be really easy on my ankle and get out of a zero drop shoe, because that was just irritating everything. Little did I know this was just going to be the beginning of my foot and ankle issues. I switched shoes, got into a drop shoe. Things were looking up, things were doing good. I had a compression sock for my ankle. You might have seen that in some of the other videos. And things were looking up. Coming out of the desert, I was feeling good. I think I pushed my first pair of Topos a little bit too far, and I really started aggravating the arches of my feet. And this soon would snowball into a much bigger problem. I ended up developing plantar fasciitis and hiked with it for about 1,200 miles because I am too stubborn of a person to come off trail early, ultimately ending in me coming off early. So all through NorCal, all through Oregon, all through Washington, through the Sierra, I was hiking with plantar fasciitis in both my feet. Through these 1,200 miles, I switched shoes a ton. I finally got a new pair of Topos, so I went through 2 pairs and had ordered a 3rd pair to Ashland. And if anyone was hiking with me around that time, they knew my story. People I didn't even know were coming up to me in Ashland, and they were like, "Oh, you're the girl with the shoe problem." And what happened was I didn't have enough time to order my shoes from the Topo website itself, so I sort of rush ordered them from Amazon, and someone stole my shoes. I believe it was someone in the packaging center or whatever, because when I opened the package, it was a Amazon bag inside of an Amazon bag that held coconut milk. So can't really wear coconut milk for shoes out on the PCT. So my 3rd pair of Topos were stolen, and I didn't have time to wait around in town for another one. I had already taken a couple unplanned zeros because my feet were really, really bad. We were there for the 4th of July, and I had to come in, I think I came in like 2 days early to town. So jumped in an Uber, went over to Medford to the REI in hopes that they might carry Topos, because some stores do. REI didn't have any Topos, so I had to switch to Hoka Speed Goats, and I was very nervous about that because the big reason why I was in Topos was because of the wide toe box, but also having a drop. So I took my chances, and I just got a pair of Speed Goats and ended up loving them. So finished trail in them, bought 3 pairs of them along the way, and they helped a lot with plantar fasciitis, as well as finally, it took me until Washington to realize, maybe I should get better insoles with a higher arch and see if that will help. And it did a lot. So plantar fasciitis, it would like come in waves. Some days it would be worse, some days it would be better. but it was something that I constantly struggled with. So that happened. So that was one of the big reasons, was I was hiking with an injury for 1,200 miles. This is a very long-winded way of saying that this injury was with me through so much of trail, and mentally it drains you. You wake up every single morning and you're just in pain, and you have to convince yourself that it's worth it. The views will be worth the miles, the people you'll meet, the experiences you'll have are going to be worth the amount of excruciating pain you're in. And there were days that ibuprofen wouldn't help. I would be hiking until I was in tears. There was days that I was pushing myself to even make 15 miles. And not that miles matter so much, or at least they shouldn't matter. I know it's much easier said than done. Doing 15s when you are already 3 months into trail is kind of like, okay, I should be doing more at this point. So mentally, it was very taxing. The physical toll my body was going through became a mental toll. And there was just weeks there that I was just not enjoying it. So much so that I had a very, very big breakdown right outside of Carson, Washington, which is not a town people normally go into. They usually go from Bridge of the Gods straight to Trout Lake. And I had to skip some miles there because I was a section away from entering what I was most looking forward to, and that was the Goat Rocks Wilderness. And I said, if I am going to come off trail early, I want the last thing I do to be Goat Rocks. I want it to be something that I have been looking forward to, and I just want to end in a beautiful place. So I pushed myself through Goat Rocks, ended up running into my friends, the Royals, or Prince and Bless. And Prince was experiencing a lot of the same plantar fasciitis issues that I was having, so we took it super slow through Goat Rocks. I'm talking 12 miles a day, and just really, really enjoying trail. And I decided there that I was going to stay, but I was going to take it a lot slower. I wasn't going to be pushing myself to keep up with people. I was just going to enjoy the time I had out there. At that point, I knew that I likely was not going to finish trail in the amount of time that I had left. This was early August, and I had about until mid-September to keep hiking, and I just was not going to make the miles. And that was something, it was a hard pill to swallow, but I wanted to leave the least amount of trail behind as I possibly could. So I was gonna keep going, and I did, and my feet held up really well through Washington, and we kept going north, trying to get to the border by September 1st, and then we were gonna flip back down to the Sierras and go north through the Sierras. And then we got to Stevens Pass and went into Leavenworth and found out that the forest fires had broken out in Washington a little earlier than expected. It's a very dry summer out in Washington. So this is about mid-August. The group I was with, our plan was to go into Leavenworth for a couple days before then going down to trail days. And I debated on whether I wanted to go to trail days or not. And these fires, they closed 150, I want to say, of the 180 miles we had left of Washington. Could go through alternates, or we could go up to Mazama and then go in from Harts Pass and do the last 30 to the border. But none of us really wanted to do that. It got to the point where all of us had kind of decided that the last thing we wanted to do was to touch the terminus. Well, to trail days we went. I went down to trail days, was there for 2 days, rented a car with a bunch of my friends, and then we made it down to Reno. From Reno, we took the shuttle down to Lone Pine. From Lone Pine, one of my friends had a friend that lived in the area, and he was able to bring us up to Kennedy Meadows South, and we started hiking north from Kennedy Meadows and entered the Sierra. One key part of the story was there was also a hurricane that we were dealing with. So we had decided to flip south, and then we got news of this hurricane that was going to hit Southern California for the first time in 80 years. So just, another historic weather event on top of an already historic year when it came to snow in the Sierra. So we were trying to figure out what the best plan for that was. My cousin is a meteorologist in Sacramento. I was texting him. My dad was texting me. We're trying to get trail reports. Death Valley National Park is posting that they've basically washed away and there's a bunch of roads closed. And we had no idea what the trail conditions were going to be. But we entered the Sierras, and it ended up being beautiful. And we were just heading north from there. And the first couple of sections were great. The second section we did as a group included Whitney, and then we started going into the passes. And I felt strong. I felt like I was doing the best hiking I had ever done in my life. I was so excited to be there. I was like, I'm going to get the High Sierra done. I'm going to, try and get to, I think I was trying to get to Truckee maybe, or South Lake Tahoe before having to come off trail to come home. And things were looking good. My group, we did an 8-day stint. We went all the way over Mather Pass and then exited Bishop Pass to resupply in Bishop. And I felt good getting into Bishop. Felt really excited to be going back out there. But we had to do Bishop Pass again. And Bishop Pass is not PCT miles. And I struggle with doing miles over that I've already done because I know what to expect. And Bishop Pass is not that terrible. It's very steep when you're coming out of the Sierra, but coming back in, it's gentler. But I was not in the right headspace, and I woke up that next morning. The plan was to get over Muir and then camp at the base of, I think it's Selden and Silver. So then do Selden the next day, then do Silver, and then go into Red's Meadow and ultimately Mammoth Lakes. And it was only supposed to be like a 4 or 5 day thing or stretch. And I could not get myself over Muir Pass. Something this switch in me flipped, and I just did not want to be there anymore. I had another pretty big breakdown and only did 5.5 miles that day. And in those 5.5 miles, I decided I was done. I was quitting. Muir Pass was going to be my last thing that I do, because after Muir, you then do this long descent, and then the next exit out is Paiute Pass, which is a 17-mile and full day hike. So that will be fun to have to go back for eventually, to get back on the spot that I came off at. But I ultimately don't know what really drove me off. My feet were definitely hurting. I had gotten a new pair of Speed Goats, and they just were not true to my feet kind. Maybe it was the color, but something about the soles were just not breaking in. So I was in a lot of pain, and I was tired. I was just tired. I knew that I had 2 weeks left of trail, and I had done these big things, and it was just what's the point? Why am I out here? I'm not going to finish trail this year. Why am I continuing to push myself? So ultimately, the physical pain mixed with the just mental toll I had been taking, mixed with the flipping and the logistics, and starting to worry about money, and just the why am I out, questioning the why am I out here and not being able to answer the why, drove me off trail. And I took a really long time to become okay with that situation. I felt like a failure in that moment, and in some respects I still do feel like a failure. From very early on, was not making the miles I would have needed to complete the trail in one go. I was very jealous of people that didn't experience pain or didn't experience injuries, people that were able to push through the snow and push through the weather and be okay and all of these things. And I know that you never truly know what a person is going through while you're out there, but it was just exhausting. So I got off trail, and that's sort of that. That's a 15-minute long explanation of something that's probably really simple. But yeah, I completed 1,821.6 miles. That was a really weird way of saying it. So 1,821.6 miles of trail. I do have places in all 3 states that I have to go back for. I have no idea when I will go back. I really want to go back next year, because I know myself, and I know that I won't give up until I complete this journey. But it's all money and time dependent. So we'll see, but yeah, that's that. As far as the future of this channel, weird for me to say, is I have videos from where I left off until pretty much when I got off trail. There's a lot of days missing. I struggled to take pictures at times, to video stuff, to want to explain what was going on. Those videos might not be daily vlog form. They might be for like the beginning or when I start posting again, and then they might turn into sort of weekly vlogs of what was going on. I'll probably be jumping in the middle of videos and just explaining now that I'm home and giving more context. It's really hard to tell a story when you're so focused on making the miles and in so much pain. I'm sitting in front of all of my gear. I'll probably do gear reviews and talk more about what was in my pack at the end of this whole thing and just go from there. I'm excited to continue telling my story. I'm excited to go through the footage that I have. I'm excited for whoever watches this and has been a supporter, to my friends, to my family, to people online who said the kindest things to me when I finally posted about getting off trail. Thank you. It did not go unnoticed. Very grateful for all of you. And I'm excited for the future and what I will be doing hiking wise and in the outdoor space. I did go on my first hike post trail, just a day hike in New Hampshire. And I can say that my feet are still very messed up, but I'm going to take the time to heal up as best as I can. And hopefully this isn't the last the PCT has seen of me, or the last I've seen of the PCT. And who knows, maybe once I finish trail, maybe I'll do another through hike. Maybe I won't. Who really knows? But that's that. This is me rambling, or my ramble over. I need to figure out a way to sign off on this. Check out my blog. I don't know. Link posted down below. I'm going to be blogging more. I'm doing some written content of what the trail was, because sometimes just talking about it is overwhelming. A lot of things in life are overwhelming now that I'm back off trail, but as I've said a million times, I'm excited. So thanks for being here, and I will catch everyone in the next video.